Toe wrestling. It started in a pub in Derbyshire, England, in 1976, when a group of friends decided that Britain needed a world championship it could actually win. The rules are simple on the surface. Two competitors sit facing each other, lock their bare feet together, and try to pin the other person's foot to the side of the wooden frame called a toedium. Each match is played across 3 rounds, alternating feet, and the person who wins 2 rounds takes the match. What makes it stranger than it sounds is how seriously competitors take it. Participants train their toe strength and grip, and the World Toe Wrestling Championship, still held annually in Derbyshire, draws competitors from multiple countries. There is even a governing body that once applied for Olympic recognition. The application was rejected, but the fact that it was submitted at all says something about how earnestly this sport is run. Judges inspect feet for hygiene and structural abnormalities before competition, because yes, there are disqualifications. At its core, toe wrestling is arm wrestling played with the wrong limb, but the culture around it has grown into something genuinely its own. Wife carrying. It comes from Finland, and the story behind it is grimmer than the sport suggests. The tradition is said to trace back to a 19th-century Finnish brigand named Ronkainen, whose gang was reputed to steal women from nearby villages. Whether that origin is fully accurate or embellished over time, the modern sport runs with it in the most light-hearted way possible. Competitors race through an obstacle course while carrying a female partner, not necessarily their wife. The most common technique is the Estonian carry, where the woman hangs upside down behind the man with her legs around his shoulders. The course includes water obstacles and hurdles. The prize at the Wife Carrying World Championship is the woman's weight in beer. Other countries hold their own qualifying competitions. The sport has spread to Australia, the United States, India, and parts of Europe. What makes it more than a novelty is that the athletic demand is genuine. The course is not short, the obstacles are real, and carrying another person's full body weight through water and over hurdles requires coordination and physical strength. Teams also develop technique together. The carry style, the grip, and the rhythm all matter. Bossaball. It was invented by a Belgian named Philip Eichmann sometime around 2004, and it borrows from volleyball, football, gymnastics, and capoeira all at once. The court is an inflatable structure with a trampoline built into each side of the net. Players bounce on the trampoline to reach heights they couldn't achieve on flat ground, and from there they can spike, kick, or head the ball over the net. A team scores points differently depending on how the ball lands. A spike into the opponent's trampoline zone scores more than a regular landing. The game has a live DJ and samba music playing throughout, which is not incidental. It is part of the intended experience. Eichmann's designed it to feel like a festival as much as a sport. It spread first through Spain and then into South America and parts of Asia. The physical demands are real. Players need to be comfortable on a trampoline, have reasonable ball control, and understand positioning from volleyball. The capoeira influence shows up in the acrobatic kicks players use to redirect the ball midair. It has never broken into mainstream global sport, but it has a consistent following and organized tournaments in several countries. Underwater hockey. Also called octopus, it was invented in England in 1954 by a man named Alan Blake, who wanted a way to keep his diving club active during winter months. Players wear fins, a mask, and a snorkel, and compete on the bottom of a swimming pool, pushing a heavy puck across the floor using a short curved stick toward the opponent's goal. The entire game happens underwater. Players hold their breath to make plays, surface to breathe, and dive back down. There are no goalkeepers in the traditional sense. Defense is handled by positioning. A full team has 10 players with 6 in the water at a time, and substitutions happen continuously. The puck weighs around 1.5 kilograms, heavy enough to stay on the floor rather than drifting. The game moves quickly despite what the setup might suggest. Because everyone can only hold their breath for so long, play cycles in and out constantly, and teams need to coordinate dives and surfaces. The World Underwater Hockey Championship is held every 2 years and draws national teams from across Europe, Australia, South Africa, and parts of Asia. It is a fully organized international sport with referees who work underwater alongside the players. Sepak Takraw. This one looks impossible the first time you see it. The sport comes from Southeast Asia, with roots tracing back several centuries in Malaysia, Thailand, and surrounding regions. It resembles volleyball in structure, but players are not allowed to use their hands. Everything is done with the feet, knees, chest, and head. The defining image of the sport is the roll spike, where a player leaps into the air, rotates their body horizontally, and bicycle kicks the ball downward over the net with enough force to make it nearly impossible to return. The athletic athleticism involved is closer to martial arts than traditional ball sports. Players need flexibility, coordination, and explosive jumping ability that takes years to develop properly. The sport has been part of the Southeast Asian Games since 1965 and is played competitively across Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia, South Korea, and Japan. It has a governing body and regulated international competition. Despite remaining largely unknown in Western countries, Sepak Takraw has a deeper competitive history and more structured organization than most sports people in Europe or North America could name. Chess boxing. The name describes the sport exactly. Competitors alternate between rounds of chess and rounds of boxing until someone wins either by checkmate or knockout, whichever comes first. A full match consists of up to 11 rounds, 6 of chess and 5 of boxing, with each chess round lasting 4 minutes and each boxing round lasting 3. The sport was conceived by Dutch artist Yves Rubing in 2003, inspired by a French comic book, and the first official match was held in Berlin. The challenge is not just physical or just mental, it is managing the shift between them. A fighter who has just taken punches to the head must then sit down, reset, and play competitive chess under a clock. Equally, a chess player who has just been locked in calculation must stand up and face someone trying to knock them out. Training for chess boxing means developing both skill sets seriously. Competitors genuinely need to be capable boxers and capable chess players at the same time. Clubs exist in Germany, Russia, India, and the United Kingdom. The World Chess Boxing Organization runs official championships, and the sport has attracted real media attention, partly because the contrast is so striking and partly because the matches are legitimately unpredictable. Shin Kicking. It is also exactly what it sounds like, and it is one of the oldest sports on this list. Shin kicking has been part of the Cotswold Olympic Games in England since the early 1600s, making it older than most modern sports by several centuries. Two competitors hold each other by the collar and take turns kicking each other in the shins until one person is forced to the ground. Competitors are allowed to stuff straw into their trousers to provide some padding, which is still the standard practice today. The winner is whoever forces the other person down twice out of 3 attempts. There is no complex technique, no specialized equipment beyond the straw, and no real strategy beyond endurance and pain tolerance. The Cotswold Olympic Games were revived in the 19th century after a period of dormancy, and the shin kicking competition has remained part of them ever since. It attracts genuine competitors who train their pain tolerance and leg toughness. The matches are refereed, and the event draws crowds annually on the Hill in Chipping-Campden, Gloucestershire. It persists not because it is spectacular, but because it is old, and the communities around it treat that age as worth preserving. Extreme ironing. The premise is that ironing clothes is mundane, so competitors take an ironing board and an iron to the most inconvenient location they can find and iron something there. This has been done underwater, on cliff faces, while skiing, in canoes, and even while skydiving. The sport was reportedly started by a British man named Phil Shaw in 1997, who wanted to combine his love of outdoor activities with the chore he kept putting off. What started as a personal oddity became an organized pursuit. The Extreme Ironing Bureau was established. A world championship was held in Germany in 2002 with participants from 10 countries, and there is footage of teams competing in increasingly unreasonable settings. The judging criteria include the difficulty of the location, the quality of the ironing, and the presentation. The item must be visibly smoother after the process than before. There is a real community around it, with regional groups and documented expeditions. It sits in a strange space between performance art and sport, but the people who do it take the location selection and the ironing quality with a seriousness that makes it hard to dismiss entirely.